I want to ask you about Colby Bishop to begin with, because he came up with a milestone 100 appearances for the club this week. How important has he proven to be, and could you have anticipated his impact when you first brought him in from non-league football?
The idea of bringing in players in is to have an impact. I didn't realise it was 100 games, and he's missed quite a few as well, hasn't he? Fair. I knew he was good, and he has improved. So he wasn't that good when he first came, and that's down to a combination of factors. Possibly, he's been coached well by our coaches who are very good, but he's also got a desire and a tenacity and a will to get better. And if you're a sponge in the learning game, you get better at things that you do. And he certainly does want to get better, and he has decided to take on board his own development and the team's development as well.
I heard a debate between a few Stanley supporters about where he was importance-wise compared to previous Stanley strikers, and they were bracketing him in with Mullin, Key, people like that. Is he in that kind of company for you?
Must be out there. Must be out.
That was mostly deliberate.
99. I'd put him with Paul Mullin and Billy Key. They are the benchmarks to be a good Stanley striker. Play a lot of games, get battered a lot, don't score as many as what you should have. Possibly Billy did, but have an unbelievable team ethic, which all three of them are.
You joke about yourself there. I assume you were joking. How much is the role?
Joking so.
How much has the role of centre forward changed, kind of from when you were kind of coming to the end of your playing career here to 2021?
Well, if you were playing a false nine when I was playing, you'd pick the wrong shirt up on you. It's different. Different formations. A lot of football now is heavily midfield based. And the battering on forwards are sort of a dying breed. That's why Colby's so sought after, I think, because he gives you a different dimension. But football's ever evolving, and you've got to try and go with it. You've got to try and be one step ahead of the game. A lot of pride we still take is the fact that we were the team who introduced 4-2-3-1 to League Two. I don't know if everyone has had to go with it at some point, but we did it the year that we just nearly missed out on the playoffs. Or just missed out on the playoffs, sorry. And that was just watching Spain play in the World Cup and thinking, because we try and get that type of football played, we wouldn't be as good as them, but could we try and shock a few teams, and we did that season. Fair.
Is there an extent to which you talked about not being able to get oven-ready players and having to cook them a bit last week? Is there an extent that you have to be a little bit experimental because of what you've got available to you, and you have to take a few more risks?
Yeah, that was a terrible analogy, wasn't it? I think that was Christmas on your mind, oven-ready turkeys and that way. Oh, the harsh reality is we can't pay big fees for players. So the only other way you get established players is by giving them big wages. We can't do that. So we've got to try and forge our own path, and that's what we try and do. And you'll get some right, you'll get some wrong, but we've had some success stories over the years, and the ultimate proof of that is if you can remain in this division, which is a tough ask, and it's an ongoing battle for us this season as well.
Just on the personnel front, how's Seamus Keneally? Because he came off at half time the other night.
He's having a scan today, so we'll know more about that. I know Seamus will want to play on Saturday, and sometimes scans can just put your mind at rest, as did Ollie Palmer on Tuesday. I think he had a scan on Monday and played on Tuesday. And so, we've got one or two, a little bit of sniffles in the camp as well, which isn't good. But whatever team I put up, I know we're going to give them a good. We'll give a good account of ourselves, because I know there's still a good spirit in that. And sometimes it's difficult when you're not winning games and things are going against you, and ball isn't going in the net when you want it to. And every mistake you seem to make results in a goal. But we've just got to battle through it, and there is a good spirit in there. And you know, I'm proud to be able to work with these players.
That midfield quartet, Pritchard, Butcher, Morgan, Lee, is there any further update, any kind of signs on the horizon of them?
Tommy and Matt are training today. Morgs is still possibly a week or two off. I know he's, well, I'd like to say pulling his hair up, but he hasn't got any. And Joe won't be far away now, but we've just got to be mindful of Joe that he doesn't re-injure himself. Is there a word re-injure?
It is now.
Well,
Coin a new word, go for it.
no, I just thought you were there. You were a potential dictionary caller, then confident.
I'm at least part of that word. We talked about a couple of steps forward and maybe one step back the other night. Are you happy with the sort of general direction that it's gone in this little spell of games, or was it a real blot on the copybook the other night to get nothing?
I just have to say that was an unbelievable joke you just made there. Comedy workshop, this one. It was a dent. Not so much a blot, it was like a body blow. Because you think that you're turning the corner. And in this league, with the money that's getting spent, I know it doesn't go back to money. You know, I've spoken about this time and time again. There's what? Trying to do me math now. There's 11 teams who change places with us, wasn't it? So coming into the Christmas period, if you can be in and around at mid-table, you'd have to say you've done reasonably well. We've just been a little bit disappointed with our return because we know we're better than what we've shown. And for a team who concedes as many goals as we do or have done, we're not that bad defensively. You know, you see the games. You know, Michael Nottingham must be one of the unluckiest players because he defends like unbelievable. Every single time he makes a mistake, he gets punished for it. And there's plenty of other defenders who make mistakes in this league and don't get punished for it. And that might be the people who are around him, you know, not helping him out, or you know, it might be a combination of a few factors. But we've all got to pull in this together. We've all got to work hard together. And if you're always striving to be better, you've only got a better chance of getting better than maybe say, well, okay, this is what we are. Well, so there might be a couple of changes in January, but you know, I'd like us to be a little bit more inventive. And when we get the inventive players back, then you can judge us on that.
You touched a little bit, alluded to the league table there. I think there were 2 points separate about 7 or 8 teams in that middle portion. In a football season, is there equivalent of like moving day in a golf tournament? Is there a period where if you get your act together and you get some points on the board, it can change your season? Or can that happen at any point, really?
I think it can happen at any point because you know, the games come thick and fast. As our chairman says, it's like a small tin of beans, nothing in it, between 8 or 9 clubs. And the ones who can just get wins on the board push themselves away from them, so that's what we're trying to do.
You've had a couple of times this season where you've had the kind of big occasions here, the all-ticket games, the big atmospheres, and you've been really frustrated by the results on a couple of occasions. It'll be a similar thing this weekend, I'm sure, against Bolton. How important is it that you don't have that feeling again of kind of after the Lord Mayor show?
So what you're saying is there's going to be a big crowd, don't turn up. Or we don't turn up. Listen, historically we've always performed well in front of big crowds here. There's been times when we haven't. And there's been quite a few times this season when we haven't. But, you know, if you're going on the balance of how long we've had big games here, I think we're in credit in terms of performances and results. And the crowd for either team, I think our crowd helps us a lot. But we don't get dispirited by an away following, because our fans more than make up for it.
Is it not something you've identified then in the previous games where it's happened, the Sheffield Wednesday one, for example? Is it just you deal with what's on the pitch rather than the environment?
You have to, don't you? You know, and any professional sportsman will tell you that. You know, it's the here and now, and it's getting into that moment. Some players react to it well, some don't. But I've got no fears for our players.
As far as Bolton are concerned, does it tell you everything that you need to know about this division that you beat Fleetwood at the weekend with 10 men in a heavy defeat for them, and then they beat Bolton, who have 10 men in midweek?
That's the way footy goes, then. You know, 1 minute you're up, 1 minute you're down. It is a quote Ronan, life is a roller coaster. And I'm sure they're feeling it. You know, they've had some unbelievable highs this year. They've played really good football, really attractive football, amongst the top goal scorers for long periods of the season. Got attacking players, and then sometimes they just find a way to lose, and that was the case on Tuesday. You know, if you look at the game back on Tuesday, their game, there was chances for both teams in the game, and you know, you're always trying to educate yourself about the opposition. So we do a lot of studying the opposition. We go and watch them when we can. But ultimately, you've got to try and get yourself right. And if you get yourself right, then while you're mindful of the opposition and what they can do and what threats they pose, you don't get so over-focused that you don't see the wood for the trees. So, in your preparation, you've got to be careful that you don't go overboard on the opposition and neglect what you're going to do yourself. And what we've got to do ourselves at home is make chances and take them. We made enough chances to win the game on Tuesday. We just didn't take them for whatever reason. But that doesn't mean that you stop trying to make the chances, or you stop going into the areas where you can score goals. And you know, that goes right to the end. You look at Wigan last night, another last-minute goal, and that's a testament to how hard they work and how much they believe that they're going to win games. That's about the 6th game they've won this season on the last minute, and that's, you know, that's not a fluke. And I've seen that in Stanley in the past loads and loads of times when we scored late goals, because we believe we're going to get the late goals, and that's what we'll be hammering home this weekend saying.